Nestled between rolling hills and coastal breezes lies Arroyo Grande, a picturesque town with a darker story to tell. Known for its charming vineyards and historic architecture, this small town was the backdrop for a tale that contrasts sharply with its peaceful scenery. Here lived Elyse Pahler, a local teenager with stars in her eyes and dreams of the silver screen. Little did she know her aspirations would soon be overshadowed by a chilling sequence of events. In this idyllic setting, a tragedy would soon unfold that would ripple through the community. Elyse Pahler, a young girl with stars in her eyes, dreamed of one day becoming an actress. Raised in the serene backdrop of Arroyo Grande, California, Elyse was known for her radiant smile and infectious enthusiasm. Friends and family saw her as a beacon of joy and creativity, often leading roles in school plays and actively participating in local theater groups. Her passion wasn't just a hobby, it was a lifeline that connected her to a future far beyond the small-town horizons. Elyse's aspirations were fueled by her love for the arts, and she spent countless hours rehearsing lines, perfecting expressions, and dreaming of the applause on a grand stage. Her family supported her dreams, often driving her to auditions and cheering the loudest at her performances. But behind the curtain of her promising young life, darker currents were flowing. Elyse's world was more fragile than it appeared, shadowed by challenges that few knew about. But a fateful encounter would tragically cut her dreams short. In the shadows of her dreams, 3 local boys harbored darker ambitions. They were part of a band named Hatred, which, like their music, channeled a disturbing blend of heavy metal, drugs, and fascination with satanic rituals. Jacob, Michael, and Casey were not just bandmates. They were a trio lost deep in the throes of their delusions, fueled by the aggressive lyrics and themes of their favorite bands. Elyse Pahler, with her bright aspirations and trusting nature, became an unwitting symbol to them. They saw in her the innocent figure needed to complete their twisted ritual, which they believed would empower their music and bind them in some dark brotherhood. The plan was chillingly simple and deceptive. One summer evening, under the pretense of friendship and shared interests, they invited Elyse to join them. "Let's hang out, maybe smoke a joint," they suggested casually. The meeting place was an isolated eucalyptus field not far from her home, a location that promised peace but was to become a scene of horror. As they walked, the conversation flowed easily at first, filled with the mundane chatter of acquaintances and the shared jokes of youth. But as they ventured further, the ambience shifted palpably. The shadows lengthened and the air grew tense. Under the guise of camaraderie, a sinister plot was set in motion. A serene eucalyptus grove would become the stage for a horrifying act. On that fateful night in Arroyo Grande, the air was thick with the scent of eucalyptus, a scent that soon would be overshadowed by a tragedy. Elyse Pahler, a local teenager with dreams larger than the town itself, found herself walking alongside 3 acquaintances, unaware of the chilling fate that awaited her. The group, comprising members of a local band known as Hatred, had concocted a sinister plan under the guise of friendship and a shared joint. As the night deepened, the true intentions of these young men came to light. In the isolation of the eucalyptus field, a grim scene unfolded. The details of the act are too gruesome to dwell upon, but it was marked by betrayal and brutality, culminating in the untimely death of Elyse. This act wasn't just a murder, it was a ritualistic killing, influenced by a dangerous cocktail of drug abuse and misguided beliefs in dark ideologies. In the days that followed, Elise's absence sent ripples of concern through Arroyo Grande. Initially, her disappearance was not met with the urgency it deserved. Misconceptions about her personal struggles with substance abuse painted her as a potential runaway, delaying a rigorous search. This mislabeling is a tragic reminder of how quickly society can dismiss a person in need based on their battles with addiction. The community of Arroyo Grande, once a peaceful haven, was now touched by a palpable sense of dread and disbelief. Neighbors exchanged worried glances, parents held their children a little tighter, and friends of Elyse grappled with the harsh reality of her disappearance. The vibrant life she had led, her aspirations, and her ever-present smile became memories shrouded in sorrow and mystery. Elyse vanished, leaving behind a mystery that would haunt Arroyo Grande for months. Silence often speaks volumes, and in this case, it screamed. In the small town of Arroyo Grande, California, the disappearance of Elyse Pahler was a whisper lost in the wind for months. Despite the eerie silence that fell over her case, the truth was waiting, biding its time. As the seasons changed, the weight of guilt began to gnaw at the edges of conscience within one of the boys involved in the crime. Casey Royce, overwhelmed by the burden of what he had participated in, could no longer hold back the floodgates of his remorse. 8 months after Elyse's tragic end, he walked into a police station and confessed to the unimaginable. The confession set off a flurry of activity. The police swiftly arrested the other 2 members of the band, and what followed was a highly publicized trial that captured the attention of the nation. The boys, tried as adults, faced the full severity of the law. The courtroom was a battleground of raw emotions and legal arguments, where the future of 3 young men was irrevocably decided. Throughout the trial, the community of Arroyo Grande was split. Many mourned the senseless loss of a young dreamer, while others grappled with the disturbing influences that led to such a heinous act. When the gavel finally fell, substantial prison sentences were handed down, sealing the fate of the trio. Justice seemed imminent, but the path was fraught with controversy and pain. Can music compel someone to commit murder? This question became central in the aftermath of a harrowing event in Arroyo Grande, where the tragic murder of Elyse Pahler unfolded. In a desperate search for answers and justice, Elyse's parents launched a lawsuit against the band Slayer, alleging that the band's music not only inspired, but incited 3 young men to commit murder. The lawsuit highlighted specific lyrics from Slayer's songs, which, according to the claim, contained direct references to death, violence, and satanic practices. The legal battle that ensued was not just about a grieving family seeking retribution. It was about the broader implications of artistic influence. Can artists be held accountable for the actions of those who consume their art? The court, however, found itself grappling with the complex interplay between free speech and moral responsibility. Ultimately, the case was dismissed, emphasizing the protection afforded to music and other forms of artistic expression under the First Amendment. The decision underscored a pivotal legal standpoint, that while art can be provocative and evocative, holding artists legally responsible for their audience's actions sets a precarious precedent. This outcome did little to quell the ongoing debate about how much influence artists hold over their audience. It raises profound questions about where the line should be drawn between artistic expression and moral accountability. While the court cleared Slayer, the debate about artistic responsibility continues. In the darkest corners of human experience, we often find glimmers of redemption. Such is the case with Casey Royce, one of the young men who, lost in a haze of misguided beliefs and substances, played a part in the tragic demise of Elyse Pahler. Behind the bars of his cell, Casey embarked on a journey that saw him turn to Christianity, deeply reflecting on the gravity of his actions. This transformation is not just about finding religion, it's about seeking a new purpose. Casey's days are now filled with books and the pursuit of knowledge, aiming to one day help others avoid the dark path he once walked. His hope to become a drug counselor speaks volumes about his desire to contribute positively to society, to make amends for the irreversible harm he caused. Yet this story transcends the individual. It casts a harsh light on broader societal issues, the allure of drug abuse, the dangers of satanic influences, and the impactful, sometimes destructive role of media and music in shaping young minds. Elyse's story forces us to question how society can better protect its young people from such devastating influences. Moreover, the case rekindles the ongoing debate about the responsibility of artists and creators. Where does artistic freedom end and accountability begin? The music of Slayer, cited by the boys as an influence, was defended under the First Amendment, yet it raises critical questions about the potential consequences of creative expressions. As we remember Elyse, we are reminded of the fragile balance between influence and personal responsibility. Each player in this tragedy, from Elyse and her assailants to the creators of the music they consumed, forms a complex tapestry of cause and effect. In reflecting on this case, we are urged to consider not only the paths to redemption for those who stray, but also the preventive measures society might take to shield its most vulnerable members from similar fates. From the tranquil streets of Arroyo Grande to the dark notes of a tragedy, the story of Elyse Pahler compels us to reflect. A life brimming with potential was tragically cut short, entangled in a web of drugs, misguided beliefs, and violence. This case not only highlights the devastating impact of substance abuse and peer influence, but also stirs a broader debate on the extent of an artist's responsibility for their audience's actions. Thank you for joining us as we explored this somber chapter. Reflect, question, and engage, for every story gives us lessons for a lifetime.